Back, but I'm better than ever. Sometimes I had to sever. Sometimes I had to weather. Wonder was it worth the effort? And it would never. Now I put the biz before the pleasure. There's no pressure. Every day's a new adventure. And we back. Sak Pase YouTube. Welcome to KashPiece. Today I'm going to be starting a new series on this channel called KashPiece Covers. And no, this ain't going to be about my Snuggie, and it's not going to be me singing song covers. It's actually going to be me doing a review series, a recap, and then a ranking at the end of the series of all of the One Piece cover stories. Now, if you're an anime only, you may be asking me, what is a cover story, Cash? Well, I'm going to tell you what that is right now. Every chapter for the One Piece story basically comes with a cover on the first page where it'll say the title of the chapter on it. Sometimes this will be an interesting drawing that Oda does that's a request by one of the fans. Sometimes it'll be a beautiful color spread, and sometimes we get a continuous limited series that basically goes from each new chapter's cover, which is why it's called a cover story. So today, I'm going to be lucky enough to cover one of the 4 great emperors of the sea, and a former apprentice to the Pirate King, Gold D. Roger himself. That's right. We're going to be talking about it's Buggy. Yeah, it's Buggy. The first One Piece cover story is called The Buggy Crew Adventure Chronicles. Yes, I know, it's quite the mouthful. In the manga, the story takes place right after the defeat of Buggy and his crew by Luffy and Nami in Orangetown. The cover story starts on chapter 35 and runs through chapter 75 of the manga. And there's actually a little bonus in there that I'm going to let you in on a little bit later in the video, so stay tuned for that one. This cover story is only one of a couple that actually has an anime adaptation, or some semblance of an anime adaptation. In the anime, this happens after the Arlong Park arc, which is a personal favorite of mine, I can't lie, and before lockdown. We start off with our hero, yes, our hero, Buggy the Clown, as he's escaping where he got sent to, basically, because Luffy sent him flying at the end of Orangetown. But we see him, and he only has his head, basically, his 2 arms, and his feet, maybe a little bit up to the shin and up to like the forearm, the mid forearm. And the reason why this is because Buggy has the chop fruit, so he can basically split his body into parts, or he can be split, basically, if he's fighting someone that has a sword like Zoro. And at the end of the fight with Luffy and Nami and Zoro, he basically, Nami basically steals his other parts, his torso, his arms, and his legs, and ties them up, and then Luffy sends him flying off. Meanwhile, his crew, consisting of Kabaji, Moji, and Richie, are fleeing on foot. Now, Buggy has to find both his arms, torso, and legs, as well as reunite with his crew. So we see our hero leaving wherever it is that he got sent flying off to, on a raft that he just built, basically. But as it turns out, he's being chased by fighting fish. They kind of look like big ass piranha for the most part. He finally is able to escape them, but he lands on another island where he comes face to face with a small bird, and it's probably been a little bit since Buggy has actually eaten anything, so he's pretty hungry. So he starts chasing this bird, thinking that maybe it could be his dinner for that night, only to find out that this bird has a mom that looks after it, or a dad, or whatever. But this other bird, let's call him Big Bird big as fuck. Big Bird is a big ass bird. So suddenly it's looking like Buggy's gonna be on the menu instead of the little chick. So now Buggy's on the run from this big ass bird. And for some reason, Buggy thinks that he can trick this big ass bird with a trapdoor. It didn't work, as you can imagine, and so Buggy does end up on the dinner table, only to find out that he doesn't taste good, so the bird spits him out and shoots him flying again. Although Buggy escapes from this big-ass bird, he lands to find himself lacking in my man Gaimon's backyard, And Gaimon's not playing. He came out with the hammer and he said, I'm gonna shoot first, ask questions last, basically. And I don't know, can you blame him? Would you trust this guy? But little did Gaimon or myself really know that this was gonna become the bromance that we never knew that we needed. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is a rare occasion for me, but this is one of those rare times where the anime adaptation of something is probably actually better than the source material in the manga when it comes to One Piece, you know, excluding maybe the Wano anime. But majority of the time, the manga is better than the anime. This scene with Buggy and Gaimon is expanded very much so in the anime, and this is one of those times I would actually recommend going back and watching those two episodes that basically cover this cover story. Again, the majority of the cover stories don't get covered in the anime at all, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this series, so that the people that just like to watch the anime, they can at least find out what happened in these cover stories and their significance to the overall story. Ultimately, I couldn't really feel bad for Buggy getting shot at by Gaimon, because Gaimon's really just trying to protect his own place, you know what I'm saying? And I'm always root for the guy with the afro, even if Gaimon is given chia. So after their wonderful bromance, which again in the anime gets expanded upon, they actually both reminisce about Luffy in a positive and negative way, not realizing that they're both speaking about the same person. So Buggy leaves on his raft again, only to find that he's being chased by a giant crab this time. But luckily for him, Alvida shows up and she shoots that crab. So basically she saves Buggy, and turns out she's looking for Luffy. And since Buggy had just left being with Luffy not too long ago, relatively speaking, they decide to team up, and now they're on the hunt to find not only Luffy, but obviously Buggy and Buggy's crew. Meanwhile, Moji, Kabaji, and Richie are having a beautiful memorial for Buggy, who they are clearly thinking is dead at this point. Afterwards, Moji and Kabaji decide that they gotta duke it out. Obviously, they gotta have a nice little duel to see who's gonna be taken over as the new captain. And they basically stalemate for the most part. They fight from sun up to sundown, and Richie's just kind of chilling in the back, sleeping at this point. And he's not daydreaming. He's actually dreaming about himself being the captain and being the captain of the Richie Pirates. Which, hey man, dream your own dream. I feel you, bro. Both of Moji and Kabaji are kind of on their last legs at this point. And in his sleep, Richie basically knocks both of them out, thinking that he's fighting someone else within his dream. It's a new day now, and the newly minted Richie Pirates celebrate their King of the Jungle new leader. Okay, here's the bonus that I told you about earlier in the video. Basically, after Richie becomes the new pirate captain, he basically there's two chapters after that are basically a cover story within a cover story. I know, cover storyception. I get it. The cover story within the cover story is called Richie Crew Adventure Chronicles. So basically, we get a nice little detour to see almost a what-if scenario of if Richie was the captain instead of Buggy. And it doesn't go so well when a bunch of funnily clownish-looking indigenous people show up, and they're kind of just looking at Richie like, what is going on here, for the most part. They pulled up on him while he was feeling himself, thinking that he's Mr. Big and Bad because he's the new captain or whatever. And this is where pride gets in the way a lot of times for people. You could get that success, but if you let pride blind you, you could get taken out like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's basically what happens right here, because we cut to the next chapter and he is knocked out. Cutting back to Buggy real quick, he basically is still on Alvida's ship, and he's looking through a monocular. I don't know what it's called. It's like binoculars, but it's just the one. I don't know what it's called. So he sees a glimpse of a ship that he recognizes. So they set sail to basically dock the ship. They reach the beach, and to Buggy's surprise, he sees Moji and Kabaji both knocked out, basically, just sitting on the beach, knocked out, unconscious. And they both wake up, and they are so happy and surprised to see Buggy, obviously, you know, even though they both got their ass whooped by each other and Richie. Meanwhile, the indigenous people basically got Richie in a pot. They about to make some lion stew at this point. and they're kind of questioning why there's like loose body parts tied up on the ground. But basically, they were caught off guard pretty good, and Buggy uses his loose body parts to come together as just torso, arms, and legs and start beating their ass and knocking them out, because who would expect some loose body parts to turn into a torso and legs and start whooping some ass? They catch some real good licks from Buggy and the rest of his crew. Now, with Buggy as the rightful captain once again, everything kind of comes together, and they get to be a nice, big, happy family all over again, or a happy crew, I guess, and make their way to Logtown after this. So this is the end of the Buggy Crew Adventure Chronicles. This was a real fun little read for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to the cover story I'm going to cover next week. So stay tuned for that one, because this series is just going to continue until I basically cover all of the cover stories, and then I'm going to rank them all at the end. So stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.